Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and make a video on solving quadratics for factoring since we have so much going on today. We're going to have our standard form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. And we're going to factor 3x squared plus 14x minus 49 equal to 0. So I'm going to pull that up a little bit so we can get the procedure. I'm going to run through these real quick. So our procedure for this, and I know it's a long list, but a lot of it you're going to be doing in your head. I want to multiply a times c and know what b is, and I'll demonstrate that on our problem. List all the factors of ac. Then we want to apply the necessary signs, because we want to make sure we get our signs. So if ac is positive and b is positive, then our factors are positive. If ac is positive and b is negative, then our factors are negative. If ac is negative but b is positive, then the big factor is positive. And if ac is negative and b is negative, then the big factor is negative. Okay, then we want to add or subtract these factors to equal b. And we're going to replace that middle term, which is the bx term, with the two factors. We're going to place parentheses around the first two terms and last two terms. Then we're going to factor out the GCF from each parenthesis. And the remaining parentheses should be the same factors. So then our greatest common factors, our GCFs, are going to become a factor, and the factor that was in the parentheses is a factor. We're going to set each one of these equal to 0, and we're going to solve for our variable. So coming back up, I like to make an x, and this is where my AC is going to go, and this is where my B is going to go, and this is going to be my first factor, and this is going to be my second factor when I find them. So A times C, so that's 3 times negative 49, that gives me negative 147, that's going to go here. My B is 14, it's that middle term. So now I want to list my factors of negative 147. So I have 1 and 147, 3 and 49, and 7 and 21. So those are the only factors that give me whole numbers to equal 147. Now I'm going to my signs, because my AC sign is negative and my B term is positive. And if I look back, AC negative and BC positive, then my big factor is positive. So my 147, my 49, and my 21 are positive, which makes my little ones negative. So I'm applying my signs. Okay, next I want to add to see which one gives me 14. Well, 147 minus 1 is 146. That's not 114. 49 minus 3 is 46. That's not 14. 21 minus 7 is. So those are my factors. So factor 1 is going to be negative 7. Factor 2 is going to be 21. Now I'm going to come back to my problem, and I'm going to replace this term. So I'm going to replace it with those two factors. So it's going to be 3x squared minus 7x, got to put the x in there, and 21x minus 49. So these replace the 14x. Now I'm going to put my parentheses around 3x squared minus 7x, and put my parentheses around the last two, 21x minus 49. There's a positive sign there. And now I'm going to factor out each parenthesis. So if I look at 3x squared and negative 7x, I see they both have an x in common, so that x is going to come out. Usually that first parenthesis, it's the variable. So that's going to leave me with 3x minus 7. Then I'm going to look at my second term, and I see 21 and negative 49. They're divisible by 7, so I'm going to pull 7 out, factor out 7. That leaves me 3x minus 7. One of the ways you know you're on the right track is if these two parentheses are the same. They should be the same. Okay, now my GCFs here, the x and 7, they become one of the factors, so I put those in parentheses, x plus 7. And then the one in parentheses, 3x minus 7, is a factor, so that gets written down. And remember, all of this was still equal to 0, and I didn't put those down there, so I'm going to do that now. They're still equal to 0. So our zero product property comes in handy here. It says that one of these factors has to equal 0. So I don't know if it's that one, and I don't know if it's the 3x minus 7. So I'm going to set both of those equal to 0, and now I'm going to solve. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides, so I get x is equal to negative 7, so that's one of my solutions. And then I'm going to add 7. I get 3x is equal to 7, divide by 3, and x is equal to 7 over 3, and that is my second solution. And this is how we are going to be factoring to solve our quadratics. Okay, let me post that procedure again. You can pause the video to make sure you get these down in your notes.